12 artists, 12 songs that hit the very top of the charts. And 12 completely different reasons why the moment never repeated. Some by tragedy, some by exhaustion, some by pure bad luck. And at least one because the artist simply moved on to build something even bigger than a hit song ever could be. So now, I want to hear from you. Out of these 12, which story actually surprised you the most? Was it Anita Ward's song going viral 50 years later? Was it Sylvia quietly inventing hip-hop as we know it? Or was it one of the sadder stories, Vicky Sue Robinson or Starpoint, that hit you the hardest? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because I read every single one. And if you think I got the ranking wrong, if you've got a one-hit wonder that deserves to be on this list instead of one of these 12, tell me who and tell me why, because there's a good chance it ends up in the next video. If you made it all the way to the end of this one, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Number 12, Wild Cherry, Play That Funky Music, 1976. A struggling bar band was told to quit playing rock songs to a crowd that wanted to dance. So the singer went home, wrote a song about the insult itself, and accidentally created a genre-crossing monster that Prince himself would later cover live. Wild Cherry started in Steubenville, Ohio, playing straightforward hard rock to half-empty clubs. It wasn't working. Frontman Rob Parisi actually quit the music business at one point to manage a steakhouse. When that didn't stick either, he pulled the band back together, this time willing to bend toward the funk and disco sounds taking over the airwaves. One night, playing a club gig, a member of the crowd shouted out a blunt challenge, something like, "Are you going to play some funky music or not?" Parisi didn't get mad, he got inspired. He went home and wrote the entire song, lyrics and all, in a matter of minutes, turning the insult directly into the hook. It was originally supposed to be a throwaway B-side. Instead, Play That Funky Music shot to number 1 on both the pop and R&B charts simultaneously in 1976, went platinum, and won Wild Cherry a Billboard Award for Best Pop Group of the Year. 2 Grammy nominations followed, and then it was over. The pressure to keep chasing the disco sound tore the band apart from the inside. Some members wanted to stay a rock band, others wanted to lean all the way into funk. By 1979, Wild Cherry had broken up for good. One song, one genre-defining smash, then silence. But a rock band accidentally making one of the biggest funk records of all time is nothing compared to what happens when 9 siblings from one household take over the charts, and then watch it almost destroy their family.
I never had no problem. Yeah.
Number 11, The Sylvers, Boogie Fever, 1976. Picture this, 9 kids from one family, ranging from pre-teens to 20-somethings, all on stage together, all singing lead trade-offs, all somehow in perfect harmony. That was the Sylvers, and for one glorious stretch in 1976, they owned the radio. Boogie Fever was built around a ridiculous, brilliant concept, a fake disease that makes you dance uncontrollably. The songwriter behind it apparently tried out a few other titles before landing on the one that stuck. One earlier draft used the word epidemic, which, understandably, did not sing nearly as well. Producer Freddie Perrin auditioned voices from all 9 siblings before choosing 18-year-old Edmund Sylvers to carry the lead. When Boogie Fever hit #1 on the Hot 100 in May of 1976, it made the Sylvers one of the biggest family acts in the country, a bridge between the Jackson 5 sound of the early 70s and the disco explosion that was about to take over everything. They did manage a second hit later that year, a song called Hotline, which cracked the top 5. But nothing else the family recorded came close to touching Boogie Fever again. Then came the harder part of the story.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Sylvers!
By the mid-1980s, after years of grinding through the industry as child performers turned adults, the group quietly disbanded. The family also endured real tragedy. The youngest Sylvers sibling passed away in his late teens, years removed from the spotlight his brothers and sisters had once shared. And just this year, one of the family's own members passed away after a private health battle, closing another chapter on a family that once had America dancing in perfect 9-part harmony. One fake epidemic, one real family. A story that's still writing its final pages even now. But if you think a fictional dance disease is a strange origin story for a hit single, wait until you hear how one all-female studio project turned a suggestive dance chant into a scandal that got it banned from radio stations across the country. Number 10. Musique, In the Bush, 1978. This one wasn't even supposed to be a real group. It was a studio experiment, and it became one of disco's most controversial hits almost by accident. Producer Patrick Adams was a fixture of the Harlem disco scene, quietly behind the boards on dozens of dance records nobody outside the industry knew he'd made. For his new project, he assembled 4 powerhouse female vocalists into a group he called Musique, recorded an entire album in roughly 4 hours at a cut-rate New York studio, and moved on to the next session without thinking much of it. One of the 4 tracks recorded that day carried a chanted refrain that, depending on how you heard it, sounded a whole lot like it was describing something other than dancing. Radio programmers across the country noticed immediately. Several major stations refused to play the song at all, citing the lyrics as inappropriate for daytime airplay. The controversy didn't kill the record, it fueled it. In the Bush became a massive club hit anyway, climbing straight to #1 on the disco chart, even as mainstream pop radio kept its distance. It crossed over just enough to register on the R&B charts too, driven almost entirely by word of mouth on dance floors that didn't need permission from a radio programmer to play what they liked. But Musique was never built to last. It was a studio project first, and a touring act second, or maybe not even that. By 1980, the group was finished. 2 years, one massive scandal of a hit, and then gone. Its singers scattering back into session work and other projects across the disco underground. A song too provocative for the radio somehow topped the charts anyway. But that's nothing compared to what happens when disco's biggest dance craze, roller skating, collides with a bass line so good it later got sampled by Daft Punk. Number 9. Vaughan, Mason and Crew, Bounce, Rock, Skate, Roll, 1979. Roller rinks were everywhere in the late 70s. Vaughan Mason looked at that entire subculture, the lights, the disco balls hanging over hardwood rinks, the couples skating hand in hand, and wrote its unofficial national anthem. Mason built the track's now iconic bass line as a direct response to the sound dominating dance floors that same summer. Chic's Good Times. He wasn't shy about the influence. He leaned straight into that thick, rolling groove and layered his own percussive funk on top of it, adding lyrics that walked listeners literally through a night at the skating rink, verse by verse. Bounce, Rock, Skate, Roll climbed to number 5 on the R&B chart in 1980 and became the soundtrack to roller rinks across the country for years afterward. It never made much of a dent on the pop charts. It barely cracked the Hot 100 at all. But on the R&B side, and on wax, in DJ crates, it became untouchable. And its afterlife turned out to be even bigger than its first life. That bass line has been sampled and referenced for decades, showing up in tracks by De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest, and Heavy D. Producers halfway around the world used pieces of its drum loop to help build the sound of European electronic music. Daft Punk themselves worked elements of it into their breakthrough material years later. But for Vaughan Mason and his crew as performers, that was pretty much it. A couple of follow-up singles came and went without making noise. The group's entire legacy rests on one song about one very specific American pastime. A song that turned out to be so rhythmically perfect that it kept getting reborn in other people's music for the next 40 years. One perfect bass line built an entire song's legacy from the sample crates up, but 4 singers who called themselves after a Herbal album cover would take something even simpler, a made-up dance move, and somehow turn it into a Grammy. Number 8, A Taste of Honey, Boogie, Oogie, Oogie, 1978. An all-female band, mostly writing and playing their own instruments, in an era when that was almost unheard of for a disco act, released a debut single with a title that was pure nonsense syllables, and it went all the way to number 1. A Taste of Honey was built around bassist and singer Janice Marie Johnson and keyboardist Perry Kibble, who had actually been playing together for 6 years under other names before finally landing on their breakthrough sound. Johnson wrote Boogie Oogie Oogie out of pure frustration, reportedly annoyed at an unappreciative crowd of servicemen at a gig, and channeled that irritation into one of the catchiest, silliest hooks disco ever produced. The song wasn't just catchy, it was a statement. In an industry where women, especially black women, were rarely credited as the instrumentalists on their own records. A Taste of Honey wrote it, played it, and owned every part of the sound. It shot to number 1 on the Hot 100 in September of 1978. Stayed there for 3 weeks, sold over 2 million copies, and won the band a Grammy for Best New Artist, beating out a field that included The Cars and Elvis Costello. They did manage one more notable hit a few years later, an English-language cover that cracked the top 10. But as a creative force that defined an entire moment, A Taste of Honey is remembered almost entirely for one nonsense phrase that got the whole country dancing. a phrase so infectious that decades later, people still mix it up with the band's own name. One nonsense phrase became a Grammy-winning phenomenon, but a Philadelphia backing band that had spent years playing behind everyone else was about to prove that sometimes the guys standing in the shadows have the biggest hit hiding inside them the whole time. Number 7. Instant Funk, I Got My Mind Made Up, 1979. Before they had their own hit, Instant Funk was the backing band for almost everybody else. They played behind the O'Jays, Curtis Mayfield, Lolliata Holloway, and Evelyn Champagne King, session musicians who helped make other people's records shine while staying invisible themselves.
Come on, you can get it, girl. Anytime.
That changed when producer Bunny Sigler brought the group into the studio to work up an idea that started as a simple, stripped-down 3-minute R&B song recorded on basic 8-track equipment.
Got my mind made up. Come on, you can get it, girl.
Sigler wasn't satisfied. He had the tape transferred to a full 24-track setup and built it out, adding layers, adding a woman's voice shouting, "Say what?" throughout the track, turning a modest groove into a full-blown club weapon. Club DJ Larry Levan got hold of an early mix and started playing it out, and the buzz around Manhattan dance floors did the rest.
It's fine. I got my mind made up. Come on, you can get it, girl.
I Got My Mind Made Up, You Can Get It Girl, hit number 1 on both the R&B and disco charts in the spring of 1979, and even cracked the top 20 on the pop side, a rare crossover for a group that had spent years as someone else's backing act. For one moment, the guys who always played behind the star were the star, but the group never matched that peak again, eventually drifting back into session and production work.
I got my mind made up. Come on, you can get it.
The same role they'd played before their one moment at the front of the stage. The song, though, refused to stay quiet. It's been sampled in more than 40 other tracks over the decades since, an unlikely afterlife for a song that started as a rough demo nobody thought twice about. A backing band that finally got its own spotlight for one incredible night, but an American vocal group was about to discover something stranger, becoming complete unknowns in their own country, while somehow becoming full-blown pop stars 3,000 miles away.
Come on, you can get it, girl.
Number 6. Odyssey, Native New Yorker, 1977. Here's the twist nobody expects. Not a single member of Odyssey was actually a native New Yorker. The core of the group, sisters Lillian and Louise Lopez, was born in the Virgin Islands. Their bandmate was Filipino, and yet they recorded one of the most iconic songs ever written about growing up street smart in New York City. The song was written by Sandy Linzer and Denny Randell, veteran hitmakers who'd already penned classics for the Four Seasons. It was actually recorded first by Frankie Valli himself for a solo album, but it was Odyssey's version, built around Lillian Lopez's smooth, confident lead vocal and a now legendary saxophone solo that turned it into a genuine hit. Native New Yorker reached number 21 on the Hot 100 in early 1978, hit the top 10 on the R&B chart, and became an enduring dance floor classic. In the United States, it was the only major hit Odyssey would ever have. One great song, One moment in the spotlight, and then American radio moved on. Except the story doesn't end there, because across the Atlantic, Odyssey was just getting started. In the UK, they became legitimate pop stars for years afterward, scoring an actual #1 hit with a different song a couple of years later, along with a string of other UK top 10 singles well into the 1980s. Odyssey is a certified one-hit wonder in America and a bona fide hit-making group in Britain. The exact same band living two completely different musical lives depending on which side of the ocean you were standing on. A band forgotten at home and adored abroad. But nothing on this list captures the brutal randomness of the music business, quite like a woman with a 5-octave voice, a top 10 hit, and a life cut short before she ever got the chance for a second one. Number 5. Vicky Sue Robinson, Turn the Beat Around, 1976. Vicky Sue Robinson had already lived an entire career before disco ever found her. Raised by a folk-singing mother and a Shakespearean actor father, she was performing on Broadway by the time she was 16 years old, appearing in productions of Hair and Jesus Christ Superstar, while most teenagers were still figuring out algebra. Turn the Beat Around almost never got made at all. According to the producer who worked on it, the song hit a rough patch during its very first recording session. Bad timing, bad weather, a discouraging week that nearly buried the track before it ever had a chance. It took persistence from the people around her to push the song across the finish line and get it released. Once it was out, it took off. Turn the Beat Around climbed to number 10 on the Hot 100 in the summer of 1976, topped the disco chart, and earned Robinson a Grammy nomination for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. For a moment, she was one of the defining voices of the entire disco era. She kept performing for decades afterward. Broadway, film, charity tours, alongside other disco-era legends, but never came close to matching that one chart peak again. And then, in the year 2000, Vicky Sue Robinson passed away from cancer at just 46 years old, decades after the song that made her famous, but still far too young. Some fans argue she doesn't deserve the one-hit wonder label at all, pointing to her decades of stage and screen work. But on the pop charts, where careers get measured in hits, she only ever touched the very top once, with a song that almost didn't get finished, sung by a girl who was already a Broadway veteran before most people even learned her name. That kind of bittersweet ending is heavy, but sometimes the story flips completely. Sometimes an artist gets exactly one shot at the pop charts, and it becomes the most valuable, most enduring thing they ever create. If these stories are hitting you the way they're hitting me, do me a favor and tap that subscribe button before we keep going. We've got 7 more artists to get through, and honestly, the biggest, most jaw-dropping stories on this list are still ahead of us. Let's keep moving. Number 4, Klymaxx, I Miss You, 1985.
Klymaxx.
Klymaxx was an all-female band built on funk, sharp, aggressive, danceable records that made them R&B chart regulars throughout the early 80s. So when they decided to slow everything down for a heartbroken ballad, nobody, including the band, expected it to become the single biggest moment of their career. I Miss You was written and sung by the group's own keyboardist, Lynn Malsby, a total departure from the funk sound that had built the band's reputation up to that point. It was a risk, trading the aggressive grooves that defined Klymaxx's identity for something vulnerable and slow. The risk paid off enormously. I Miss You climbed to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and spent an astonishing 29 weeks on the pop charts, a run so long that it actually ranked as one of the biggest songs of the entire following year on Billboard's year-end tally, despite never technically cracking the top 3. It became Klymaxx's only top 10 pop crossover, the one moment this hard funk band reached an audience far beyond their usual R&B base.
To ever make it big in our industry, as they join us to do their latest thing.
They kept releasing music into the early 90s and stayed respected within R&B circles the whole time. But on pop radio, where I Miss You had briefly made them stars, nothing else ever came close. One ballad, written by their own keyboardist as a departure from everything the band was known for, ended up being the song that outlived the band itself in the public memory. A funk band's one ballad became its whole legacy, but nothing about a slow song reaching the pop charts compares to the sheer chaos of a scandal that started with a Grammy-winning voice and ended in personal tragedy years later. Number 3, Starpoint, Object of My Desire, 1985.
So strong, passion's fire.
Starpoint wasn't some overnight fluke. This was a band built around 4 brothers from Maryland who had already been grinding away since the late 1960s, moving through label deals and lineup changes for well over a decade before anyone outside the R&B charts knew their name. The missing piece arrived when a Nigerian bassist and a lead vocalist named Renee Diggs, a singer with a jaw-dropping 5-octave range, joined the group and completed the sound. Their song, Object of My Desire, was written in part by the band's own guitarist, and it leaned into the moody, electronic freestyle sound that was starting to take over dance floors in the mid-80s. The song hit number 25 on the Hot 100 in 1985. Modest by chart standards, but enough to become Starpoint's first and only single to crack the pop top 40, while also becoming their biggest R&B hit to that point. For a band that had already been together for over 15 years, it was, strangely, their true commercial breakthrough. Then the story turns painful. During the tour supporting that very album, Renee Diggs was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a chronic condition affecting the nervous system. She kept performing anyway, pushing through the disease for years, even launching a brief solo career after Starpoint eventually disbanded. She passed away in 2005 from complications related to the illness, at just 50 years old, 1 year after the band's own guitarist and co-writer had passed away following a stroke. One song, born out of 15 years of grinding through the industry, becomes the group's defining hit, and then the 2 people most responsible for writing and singing it are both gone within a year of each other. Decades later, it's one of the quieter, sadder footnotes in disco history. But get ready, because our next 2 artists represent 2 completely different kinds of massive. One is a cultural phenomenon that's somehow having a second life on your phone right now, and the other might be the single most important name on this entire list.
Wanna be the one, baby.
Number 2, Anita Ward, Ring My Bell, 1979. This song was never supposed to sound the way it does. It started life as an entirely different, much more innocent track, written specifically for a child performer. Songwriter Frederick Knight originally wrote Ring My Bell as a light, teenage song about kids talking on the telephone, intended for a young singer named Stacy Lattisaw. When Lattisaw signed with a different label before the song could be recorded, Knight rewrote the whole thing, reshaping the lyrics into something far more suggestive and handing it instead to a 21-year-old college graduate named Anita Ward, who had been planning to become a substitute teacher while she waited for her music career to take off. It worked instantly. Ring My Bell shot straight to number 1 on both the pop and R&B charts in the summer of 1979. It became one of the defining disco anthems of the era, so massive that it was actually the number 1 song in America on the exact night Chicago radio staged its infamous Disco Demolition Night at Comiskey Park. The stunt widely blamed for helping kill disco's mainstream dominance almost overnight. But for Anita Ward personally, the follow-up never landed. Her second album barely made a dent. An auto accident and ongoing record label problems slowed whatever momentum she had left. She eventually worked as a substitute teacher, exactly as she'd once planned, and later worked retail while touring occasionally on nostalgia circuits. Then something wild happened. Decades later, just last year in fact, Ring My Bell suddenly went viral all over again, thanks to a new generation discovering it through social media trends, pushing the 40-plus-year-old disco track back onto modern digital sales charts. Royalty checks she'd missed out on for years finally started arriving. Anita Ward, in her late 60s by then, found herself topping charts again out of nowhere. She said publicly she's completely at peace being called a one-hit wonder, because that one hit is still, somehow, putting money in her pocket almost 50 years later. That's a remarkable story about a song getting a second life.
You want to do it? You may ring your bell. Miss Anita Ward!
But number 1 on this list isn't really about a song at all. It's about a woman who had exactly one hit as a performer, and then went on to personally build an entire genre of music from the ground up.
Right, idiots, hold on to the bells now.
Number 1, Sylvia, Pillow Talk, 1973. Before there was any of this, before disco, before funk crossovers, before roller rinks and drum machines, there was a 14-year-old girl from Harlem signing her first record contract in 1950. Her name was Sylvia Vanderpool, and by the time she became a one-hit wonder over 2 decades later, she'd already lived enough musical lives for 3 different people. She'd already had one hit as half of the duo Mickey and Sylvia back in the 1950s. She'd spent years afterward writing and producing songs for other artists behind the scenes. And in the early 1970s, she wrote a slow, breathy, unmistakably sensual song and brought it to a singer she deeply admired. Soul legend Al Green. Green turned it down flat. As a devout man, he felt the song's content ran directly against his religious beliefs. reportedly telling her, essentially, that since she sang it so well herself, she should just record it. So she did. Pillow Talk is packed with moaning, breathless vocals that arrived 2 full years before Donna Summer would make a similar sound famous and controversial. Several radio stations actually edited the track down, cutting out its most suggestive moments before they'd play it on daytime airwaves. None of that stopped it. The song shot to #1 on the R&B chart and reached #3 on the Hot 100 in the summer of 1973, going gold and earning Sylvia a Grammy nomination as a solo artist. And then, just like that, her career as a hit-making performer was over. She never returned to the pop charts as an artist again.
12 artists, 12 songs that hit the very top of the charts, and 12 completely different reasons why the moment never repeated. Some by tragedy, some by exhaustion, some by pure bad luck, and at least one because the artist simply moved on to build something even bigger than a hit song ever could be. So now I want to hear from you. Out of these 12, which story actually surprised you the most? Was it Anita Ward's song going viral 50 years later? Was it Sylvia quietly inventing hip-hop as we know it? Or was it one of the sadder stories, Vicky Sue Robinson or Starpoint, that hit you the hardest? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because I read every single one. And if you think I got the ranking wrong, if you've got a one-hit wonder that deserves to be on this list instead of one of these 12, tell me who and tell me why, because there's a good chance it ends up in the next video. If you made it all the way to the end of this one, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.